Okay. It is Sunday. Hope everybody is doing alright today. Happy Mother's Day to all of the moms out there. Alright, so when we last left off, we were putting in our background. On the bottom half. Come on. There we go. On the bottom half of our canvas, our felt. And that's what we're going to be picking back up on here today. So, don't know how far we're going to get today. We'll see, as always. See how things go. But, yeah. So, hope everybody had a good weekend, or at least a decent one. I was very busy. I had a lot to do yesterday. A lot to do. Had a lot of stuff to post. I had a lot of stuff to type up. I'm not entirely sure I got all of what needed to be done yesterday done. I think I did. Which is always a concerning thought. At least for me, because I'm like, I feel like I'm forgetting to do something. Like, I have this own checklist that I go down. Like, it's not a written down checklist. Sorry, there's going to be traffic noises today. I'm just letting you all know that right now. It's hot. So, we have the windows open, we have fans open, or fans on, there's going to be fan noises, there's going to be traffic noises. We have not turned the air conditioning on yet. Not that it really makes that much of a difference in our room, unless we put a window unit in our room. But if we do that, then we lose access to the only window that opens in this room, so I hate doing that if we can help it. But since we don't have the guinea pigs anymore, then I'm more inclined to be a little bit warm. And we set fans up throughout the house, and we do have the house AC on to try to blow it our way. There was a series of fans. Oh, excuse me. Bad allergy day. Really bad allergy day. Like I said, it's also very windy. So, springtime, windiness, not necessarily good combos for yours truly. But I did get all of the pacifist leveling videos finally done and edited and posted, so now I can go back and there's one week that we did an art live stream where my mic was muted for an hour. So I need to edit that part, and then I can put that up on YouTube, and then I can put the other art live streams for this project up there. So that's what I'm going to be working on next. I still have 2 Bloodthirsties I need to finish getting ready for Wednesday. All of the things. So it's still going to be a pretty busy week. I'm getting further with being caught up on the write-ups. I'm not caught up yet, but I managed to get 5 or 6 done this week. Those are now posted. Sorry about the spam posting on that. Last night? Yeah, last night, early this morning. I had several of them just waiting to go, and things finally happened so that I could post them. And post them I did. At first I was like, well, maybe I'll do like one an hour, and then I was looking at how many I had, and then I was like, well, maybe I'll do one every half hour. And then I was getting really, really tired, and I was like, ugh. I was up early yesterday for me, so I was like, yeah, oh, no, I wasn't up early yesterday for me. I didn't sleep that much yesterday, that's what it was. So I was like, fuck it, we're just gonna post it, and then I'll probably end up going to bed early, and I did. And, of course, going to bed early didn't seem to work out for me. Oh. I still didn't really get that much sleep, so I was like, okay. I give up. I got a little bit. It was just in smaller chunks. I actually almost didn't get up when I woke up this time, and I was like, no, if I don't get up now, I won't be getting up till like 5 o'clock, and that'll probably drive the husband nuts, and then our stream's gonna be way, way late. So it's like, I need to get my butt up now. Sorry, my nose is running like crazy. No, damn. I dropped a piece of fluff. That's not good. Can't be dropping the fluff. No dropping the fluffy. Nah. And then it doesn't want to let go of me. Really? It's not gonna cling to me now? You won't cling to what I want you to cling to. Alright. So this is a little uneven in here. Want to kind of tighten that up just a little bit. All right. Yeah, so I hope everybody else had a good weekend. Oh, did you see any news about the Kentucky Derby? Oh my goodness. When I read that the longest shot in the field won, I was like, what? Like, no way. I mean, it is the Derby, that many horses in there. Anything can happen. But, I went and saw the video of it late last night when I was trying to fall asleep in bed, and I was like, wow. That jockey took some risks. There was one point where I thought he was gonna clip heels with the horse in front of him when he was trying to maneuver around the other horses. I was like, held my breath. I was like, oh no. That seemed a little risky, but he made it through all right. And it's a jockey I'm not familiar with. Well, that doesn't mean much because I haven't followed the sport that closely in a while. But it was kind of nice to see that it was a horse that really only ended up running because somebody else had to scratch out, since their horse got sick like a couple of days before the race, and he was on the outside bubble of, well, if something happens then you can get in. Everything just seemed to align perfectly for them, and that was that trainer's and owner's first Derby win. Well, it was the first owner's Derby win, at least. I think they said it might have been the first trainer's Derby win too. I could be mistaken about that though. I was half asleep when I was reading about it. Alright. Parts of that just didn't seem like it was fully attached there. There we go. And I still might adjust those clouds. I might redo them all together. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. They look a little different in person than they do on stream. I might redo them. Redoing them will be a small bit of a pain, but we'll see about that. Sorry, my desk has been inundated with ants, and we haven't been able to figure out where in the bejesus they're coming from. Usually we can find where they're entering our room and put some ant bait down there. This time though, they are being rather elusive. In their entrance. It's probably somewhere behind my desk that I can't get to. Oh, dang it. Look, you. Stop. We have ant bait down in one spot on the floor where they were walking by, and they're just totally ignoring it. We might need to put a spot of maple syrup in it or something to help them smell it better. Because right now they're just like, nope. My husband and I are like, what do you mean no? Right here. You guys love this stuff. They've been ignoring, well, we've been putting the homemade stuff down, and they're like, cool. Thanks for the snack. And then they go on their way, and it's not killing them, and we're like, we've done the homemade stuff before, and it's worked, and now it's not working. Either there's that many ants, or they're becoming immune to the homemade stuff. I don't know. The mother-in-law used to spray stuff around the perimeter of the foundation, but that kind of stopped working. Because we tried to do it the one summer, And they were just like, yeah, okay. And they were still getting in, and we weren't sure how. Like, we don't even see the trail outside, so I'm like, where the hell are you coming from? Because we can't find it. And it is so very strange. So what's everybody up to today? What are your plans? We already had a full day. Are you planning on doing nothing today? I'll tell you what, ever since we moved here, the smells that we smell coming in from outside are so bizarre. Like, it smells like burnt rubber, or like hot asphalt, or like lighter fluid or something. It always smells weird. And I don't know what the smell is. But it seems to be more prominent the hotter it gets. I don't know if it's like farm smells or what. Doesn't smell like poo. Not really. But I don't know. Apparently they do spread chicken manure over the fields sometimes, so I don't know if that's what it is. It's very strange. Very strange indeed. I was hoping to have time to work on my paint by number this week, but I don't think I'm gonna. Soon, though. Soon I will. Soon I'll have everybody's write-ups caught up on the website. And then we'll be able to move on to the next thing. I still feel like I have a lot to go, but 5 of them are going to be in one write-up. So that will help save me a little bit of time. Alrighty. That looks pretty good in there. Yeah, I guess we'll go a little bit more on black here. And we'll work on getting that section. And maybe when we get down to here, we'll start to come back on over. So we're following along with episode 2 from the Joy of Painting series, season 3 from Bob Ross. We did episode 1 already. That took us a few weeks, which isn't surprising because this isn't a fast project, shall we say. It's a little bit slower because it takes time to stab your fiber through your felt. but that's okay. We don't necessarily need this done fast. And it's giving us something to do, so that's good. Alright. Oh, it's gonna be a snuffly kind of day. That's just the way it's gonna go. So it was kind of funny. One of my most popular tweets I've ever had was me doing a picture of my pizza dinner last night. I was kind of like, what? Really? This is what's gonna get attention, is a photo of my dinner? I was like, alright then. Seems kind of strange, but okay. People like their pizza, I guess. I mean, I like my pizza. It was just a little bizarre to me. All the stuff I post, and this is what's gonna get so many likes on it. I found it very funny. Alright. I actually bent this needle. I had to make my mom a chicken for Mother's Day. Well, I didn't have to, but it was kind of that or nothing, because we didn't really have any money to go buy her anything. So I was working on that this week overnight. I don't have it in front of me because she already has it. We had posted a picture of it to Twitter and to the Instagram and all that, and the Kofi page. And while I was working on it, I actually bent this. I think I bent it in my pad. I was like, oh shit. I was able to kind of bend it back into place because it didn't break. It's still kicking, so I guess I didn't bend it that badly. I'm just kind of like holding my breath while I'm using it, waiting for it to decide to give out on me here. That chicken was a damn pain in the ass too, let me tell you. A damn pain in the ass. Motorcycle. Sorry, I had to, let me blow my nose real quick. I will be right back. Alright, sorry. But man, that took forever getting the round body put together. Oh my goodness. Because I started out with a smaller piece. I mean, I guess I probably could have started out with a larger ball of roving, because I have this like multicolor variegated roving that someone had sent me, and I was like, well, they say to use roving core if you're gonna put acrylic yarn on the outside of it. So I did, and that took me like 3-4 hours to get the body and the head figured out. It's very hard to needle felt a round object. And man, that sucker was heavy. When I was done, I was surprised. I was like, oh wow. Like, it almost bounced when I dropped it. I was like, oh shit. well, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Alright, let me tuck that little tiny piece of black back in that bag. And we'll grab some of our blue fluff. Okay. Alright, where's my... there it is. Lost my needle. Keep losing it today. Sitting it down. And forgetting where I'm putting it. So I usually just stab it in the top of this thing somewhere so I can see it. That way I don't accidentally grab it by the tip. Because that wouldn't be good. Now, I had started out recording the chicken. And then it started storming so bad that our lights were blinking, and I was afraid I was going to lose the footage I was actively recording, and I didn't have time to wait the storm out. So yeah, there's no recording of the chicken. But we do have a picture, so that's better than nothing. He actually took longer than I was expecting him to take. He surprised me. I will say that. All right. And because the color I had was blue. So can you explain what you're doing? So we're taking a piece of felt. So this is just like a felt square that you would get in the craft store. Any ordinary piece of felt. And we have a needle felting tool. This one's a single needle. This is a small gauge. I guess you can use whatever gauge you want. And most people use roving for this, which is kind of like wool that's been brushed out smooth, that is before it gets spun into yarn. I'm using actual acrylic yarn. That is an option. It requires a little bit more prep work. So you would cut lengths of yarn off of your skein, and then you would take a sticker brush, which is what you can use to groom your animals. It's in like the pet grooming aisle. This is a big one. It's got little metal spiky guys. They're not that sharp, but depending on the angle you touch it, it can be a little sharp. And then you brush the strands of yarn from their twisted state to this state. And then you grab some fluff. You grab your needle felting tool. I have finger protectors on so I don't stab myself, because these needles hurt. They are very sharp. And then you just kind of lay it down on top of your felt canvas, as it were, your background, your base, and you're going to want a pad underneath of it. I have a felting pad. Some people do foam, like blocks of styrofoam or blocks of like house insulation, like wall insulation. Some people will use. I find the foam sounds too scritchy for my ears. So I go with the foam pad, or the felt pad, excuse me, and it's a lot quieter. The foam pads are a lot more scritchy, like nails on a chalkboard scritchy. And then you just kind of stab the needle through your fiber, and it will go through your base. And there's little notches. I don't think the camera's gonna pick it up. There it is. Those little tiny dark dots on the needle. Those are tiny notches that are cut into the needle itself. And those, when you go through your fiber, grab strands of the fiber and kind of meld it, or not really weave it, but it kind of marries the fiber on top with your base. And because you can see some of the some of the orange from the base in the back, and the fiber on the front coming through the back. So it kind of shoves everything through all the layers and just kind of merges them together so that they make one solid piece. And so as we're putting this together, we're painting a scene, but we're using wool instead of paint. So as this is going in, we're creating an image, and we're trying to follow along with how Bob Ross is painting, except he's using paint and we're using wool to paint our scene. It's kind of like how people that use oil pastel and chalk pastel say that they're painting with it. This is the felted painting that we made from episode 1. So we're basically adding layers upon layers of color and creating the scene like you would in a painting. No problem. So while we're not using actually wet paint, we are painting, we're just using wool instead. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time. I think that first one that I just showed from episode 1 that we followed along with, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. That one took us about, I want to say maybe 13 live streams. But I'm also a little bit slower when I work on this, because, you know, I sit here and I bullshit with you guys a little bit in between, and we tell stories and stuff sometimes, depending on how tired my brain is. Some days I have more interesting things to talk about. Other days we're just kind of down to business and working on getting things done. So, you know, this is the first time, that one that I just showed was the first time I attempted to follow a Bob Ross tutorial in this manner. I have followed a few of his tutorials with actual oil paint and stuff. So, but I've never seen anybody attempt to follow his stuff with needle felting. So I was like, hey, let's try that. And I'm using acrylic yarn instead of roving because my budget was not going to allow me to buy that much roving. Roving can be a little pricey, and sometimes it's kind of hard to find it in different colors. So you can use this for clothing, blankets. Like, what's the purpose of doing it with the wool? I don't know if you could use it for like clothing or a blanket. I don't know how it would wash. That's my only concern. I don't know how that would work. With roving, when you get it wet, sometimes I think it can shrink a little bit, because there's also wet needle felting. It's basically just a different medium to work with. I like using it because I don't have to worry about my paint drying out on me, since I tend to dick around a little bit and get to talking, and then, you know, my paint doesn't dry out next to me. I find this to be a little bit more of a portable medium, so I mean, if you're traveling, you could take it with you. I don't know how you would travel with the needles. I don't know if I'd recommend flying with them. I guess would have to fly in your checked baggage. I don't think they would let you bring this on a plane. Probably not, with the way the state of things are. But I mean, your checked bag, I don't see why that would be a problem. But I don't know, I think it's a little bit easier, not as messy. And it's just something different to work with, but I don't know how it would work on clothes or like blankets and stuff, because like I said, I don't know how this would wash. I've not tried to wash it. I think I would be afraid it would come out or it would shrink or something, especially with the actual wool roving. I don't know how that would handle things. I've just seen people painting with wool. I've seen there's videos on YouTube with people doing it. There's kits that you can buy. I think this one company called, totally not sponsored, but this one company I think called Felted Sky has a few kits around, either on Amazon or on Etsy. I think I've seen a couple on Amazon. But I went with the acrylic yarn. I saw it on sale and I was like, hey, that's cheaper than some of the paint I have. So, oh, Roving, R-O-V, hang on, let me type it out. R-O-V-I-N-G. It's basically pre-spun wool is basically what it is. So Roving, this is it dyed. It's basically wool that's been brushed out smooth, kind of like how we did this. But this is like, I think this is sheep. I think. And, you know, it's just like professionally brushed out, and then they dyed it and stuff. It's a little bit softer. It can be a little bit fuzzier too sometimes. But this stuff sticks pretty good to itself, and you can do more with this. So a lot of people that do the little figurines will use this stuff because it sticks to itself better. Like you can dampen your fingers a little bit, and you can manipulate it a little bit easier and get it into shapes that you want it to be in before you attach it. This was a figurine that we made. Well, I didn't do this on stream. His insides are roving, is this stuff, and then I actually had the pink roving in a multicolored sample set that I had gotten that I wrapped around him. And so I had gotten a sample set of colors. These are just mini wool rovings in a variety of colors, but I didn't have enough of this, because they're exploding out the bag, to do this. So this does take a fair, we're covering a fair amount of real estate here, so so to speak. So it was more economically feasible for me to use acrylic yarn. But like I said, the acrylic yarn takes a bit more prep work than buying the roving already done, but the acrylic yarn's a shit ton cheaper. I got like 20 colors of yarn, pretty decent sized skeins of yarn. I caught a sale where it was on sale for $1.99 a skein. Pretty decent sized skein. So, and then I just had to do the prep work, which was fine. So a painting you would frame, would you do the same for this? You can. you can frame it, or you can, you know, add like a dowel at the top and just kind of like do a scroll display on it. You can frame these. The only thing is, when you're putting them in a frame, they're thick. They actually come out thicker than the piece of felt. So our other one I tried to put in a frame, and the back didn't want to go on the frame. So you'd probably have to frame it without the glass, which, you know, isn't that big of a deal. Or I would take it to a custom framer and have them do it, unless you're comfortable custom framing stuff. I just, if you're comfortable shoving it in there with the glass in, and you know how to get the back to stay, with things that might be a little bit deeper than your frame, then, you know, whatever. I just picked up dollar store frames, so that could have been why they just didn't want to go, because of the thickness on them. But yeah, I would definitely keep in mind that you may have to frame it without the glass, just because of how thick it can get. Because the other guy, let me grab him again. So this is like the thickness of the felt itself, right? So this one, you can see the tealy green color. That was our felt. And then you can see on either side the fiber, the acrylic yarn fiber. The back's a little bit puffier than the front, but yeah, it's definitely probably gained 3 times the original thickness of that felt sheet, so just something to keep in mind. It's cool with the frame due to it being, well, without the glass. Yeah. So can you show the back of that green one? So the back of the green one, so some of your design transfers to the back, so you just don't see the detail that you have on the very front, but this is what the back of it looked like when it was finished. So it's a little fuzzy, but yeah, that's basically how the back comes out. And it's just, you know, it's just the fiber that you've kind of shoved through the front of it. And then, you know, that's what the front of it's going to look like. But yeah, I mean, you know, you don't have to have the glass on there, so. Yeah, I was kind of surprised at how the back looked. I didn't realize it was going to look quite like that. I mean, I probably should have, because I had done a couple more of these smaller ones that I had just been kind of messing around trying to figure out how to do this and stuff. But I don't know, I kind of like, we'll still do some painting stuff from time to time, but I just kind of like this because it's different, and it's easier to get up and have to pause in the middle of and walk away than an actual painting, because, you know, if you've mixed a color, then you really want to use all of that color, and sometimes it can be hard to get a color remixed to that specific shade that you were already using, especially a week later, because then it's dried and now it's going to look a little different, a little darker, or a little lighter, depending on how your paint tends to dry. And with this, I kind of, this is the color it's going to be, so like, it's okay, I can walk away from this. Now, I haven't run into the problem of running out mid-project and having a dye lot be an issue. We've actually gotten a fair amount done with the yarn that we bought, so I have a feeling this is gonna take me quite a while to get through. But I do need to pick up some more colors so that I can work on a couple other pieces that I want to do, but I just don't have quite the right color palette for that. But yeah, I mean, we're starting to see the back of this come through. Now, since our base on this is orange, I got a pack of multicolored felt, so I'm just using them as they come up. You know, it's like, well, normally under other circumstances, I probably would have bought like all of like one neutral color or something, like a cream or a tan or something. But since this one's orange, you can actually see the orange fiber, the orange felt mixing in with our yarn fiber in the background. So at least that's on the back side of it. But the obnoxiously bright orange color is actually sort of helpful, because then I can see if I have a gap anywhere that I missed, or a split kind of opened up somewhere, because then the orange is peeking through. Oop. That is why we have finger protectors, because I just stabbed myself and it hit the protector instead of my finger. I hate the color brown that these are. I think they come in different colors, but these are just what came in the toolkit that I got, so that's fine. Don't be macho. Wear these, because these freaking things hurt. I've stabbed myself lightly with these, and it's definitely feels like a little bit sharper than a sewing needle hitting you. And because of the little notches, and I don't know if they're really barbs. They don't like stick out. They just look like notches cut in. Maybe that's considered a barb. Pulling that back out the other way, if you get it all the way through your finger, which I can see being possible, it is gonna hurt and do some damage. So just make sure that you do have some sort of protection on your fingers, and keep your non-protected fingers out of the way. Don't be like me and be like, oh, there's something on my finger, I can't use it, and then be sticking your unprotected finger in there. But yeah, so this was a nighttime painting that he did for his second episode of this tutorial series. And I had thought about doing it on a black piece of felt, and then I was like, yeah, but then it's gonna look funny if we just lay the color in on the flat black piece of felt. So I was like, no, let's put the black color in, because then everything will look a little more like it belongs. Now this is the first nighttime black canvas that I'm trying to reproduce this way of his. So we've done them painting before, but it's a lot different animal when you're using paint, because with the way he does it, like one stroke and you can have like 3 different colors show up. So the only way we're gonna have that happen is if we use a variegated yarn, I think, or we just kind of layer up multiple colors, but even then you're not gonna have like the mixing effect. So we had to get a little creative and think a little bit outside the box. I think there's 1, maybe 2 episodes in this tutorial series that we're not gonna do, just because I don't think I'm gonna be able to pull them off this way. And the one I don't have the colors for, so. And I'm just kind of flattening the back as I'm going, because sometimes it bunches up from, you know, pulling all the fibers in one area. So I'm just trying to make sure that we're staying somewhat flat. All right. So, but yeah, you definitely need to have some kind of padding underneath. Now, I do have a small foam pad that came with my toolkit. And I can let you hear what that sounds like. Earbud warning now, or headphone warning now. This is going to be scritchy. You might want to turn it down a little bit. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. That hurts my ears. I don't like that. So, I mean, if you go with the foam pad, that's what it's going to sound like. And the foam pads are going to break down a lot faster because you're constantly stabbing it and it's foam. But this one I've had since December. And we've been using it pretty heavily. You can see the acrylic yarn fiber that's now part of our pad that's come through here, because when you're stabbing through, your needle's going into it, and this is to give you something to for your needle to land in as you're going through, so that the needle can go through far enough on this to shove the fibers through far enough. And your padding, whether it's foam or felt, gives it something to hit into so it doesn't hit the surface that you're working on and break, because these can break. In the middle of one live stream, I had the handle, and I was smoothing out the back, and when I flipped my hand, it got caught in the pad and just snapped. So you do need to be careful. We didn't get hurt, and it didn't like fly at my face. It kind of stuck into the pad, but this is, what is that? Maybe an inch thick, something like that. I got this on Amazon. I think this is their larger pad. I believe this is 8 by 10, something like that, roughly. And I just like it because, well, it does have a little bit of a scritchy noise. Okay, earbud warning over. Well, it does have a little bit of a scritchy noise. It's more of like a crunchy noise, kind of like walking through snow or something, or through gravel. It's not quite the same as that nail on chalkboard piercing the foam. My ears are very sound sensitive, so certain sounds just are too much for me to deal with, and like I can't do any of the ASMR videos that people were so crazy for a while there. I was like, oh no, like, how can you guys listen to this? This is not comforting to listen to in any sort of way. All it did was just irritate my ears and make them itch. But I guess to each their own. But I just don't understand the appeal to it, because it never felt comforting to me whatsoever. Like, if I'm the one making the sound, that might be a little bit different, but listening to someone else make it sometimes is a little much. But I do like that this is a bit muffled. It was a little bit more crunchy sounding when we first got the pad, but it still wasn't scritchy. I'm trying to remember how much this pad was. This was on a Christmas gift list for me, so I don't really remember how much it cost. I think it was around $20 US. But all of it, except for the yarn, like the Roving sample pack, the little tiny bundles of multicolor and all that was all from Amazon. This was from Amazon. The felt squares were from Amazon. I was actually trying to make this an 8 by 10 piece. The felt rectangle was supposed to be like 9 by 12. The sides were a little short, so we're kind of just cutting off the length on the sides at least, to try to get it close to that. And you know, you can put a mat over these if you want, if your edges when you finish are a little wonky, little uneven, because you know it's going to happen, because you know you're pulling the fibers in and it's not going to be completely straight, more than likely. Alright. I'm just kind of getting this into like a snake shape, little tube guy. Just makes it a little bit easier. To work with. I am overlapping, well, I'm trying to overlap a little bit with the section above, just to try to avoid any weird breaks that we might have between the colors. So I'm using a single needle handle. There are handles out there that do multiple needles. My toolkit came with the single needle handle and an 8 needle handle. The 8 needle handle's quite a monster. It's actually heavy. I don't really like using it because it's so heavy. And there's this like round gap in the middle that it just seems like no matter how I position the thing, I just can't quite hit it, and it actually takes quite a bit of effort to push it through all of the fiber layers and everything. So sometimes I'll use it at the very end when I'm wrapping up, just to go over the final top layer, just to make sure everybody's well and attached and everything. But don't like to use it. I've seen some that are like 3 needle handles. I don't know how that would feel, but let me see here. Oh, are we stuck? There we go. Got a little jammed in there. So these are what the needles look like without the handle. So you have a little tiny L on the end of it that you can hold on to. I can see that making your fingers sore after a while, and it's not quite that comfortable to hold onto because your hand's kind of scrunched. So I do recommend getting a handle of some description. This is just the one that came with my kit. The handle also doubles as a holder. So this has a small end and a larger end on it, and a notch for the needle to sit in. So if you put the tip of the needle, the sharp end, facing the small end, then you can put your needle in the hollowness of the handle, just kind of push down, and then it holds it in there so that you don't stab yourself or anything. And then when you want to use it, you can flip it out and put the sharp needle facing, the sharp end facing the wider end of this little wooden stopper, I guess, and then push that back in, and then it's a lot more comfortable to hold on to. Oh, my nose is itchy. Okay. Alright, and I have a archive on my YouTube channel of us doing that other needle felting project. This one, there is, each live stream is archived over there. It's NiseyBGN on youtube.com. It's the same channel name as it is over here. I try to keep everything as close to the same as possible, just to make it easier to find. So all of the live streams we did working on this are over there. Plus, I took all of those live streams and edited them down into one video, and I did that as a speed felt, like a speed paint, where I sped up the whole thing. and that's a 5-hour long video. So if you don't want to sit through each individual live stream, I did edit down all of the live streams into that one video. I've got a couple of the live streams from this one up on the channel. No, those are going to be on the playlist Nisey Paints to make it easier to find. And it's probably going to be towards the bottom of that playlist, because I think there's I think 60 videos on that playlist, so it's going to be towards the bottom. There's some other things on there. We followed a couple Bob Ross tutorials using tissue paper. That was fun. It was messy, but that was fun. And there's some other like painting projects on there, I believe. I don't know, there's different stuff on there. But yeah, so we do have that archived over there, so don't forget to like and subscribe, do all the YouTube bullshit over there, and it is free to sub over on YouTube. And you know, we've got some other stuff over on the YouTube channel as well. We've got most of the live streams that we do archived over there, and a couple of streamed projects are over there as well. And we do gaming most of the week right now. So there's stuff where we're doing WoW challenges, leveling, and right now we're doing Parkitect 1 day a week. We're doing Planet Zoo. But Sunday right now is our only art day. And I know the schedule on Twitch says like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's an approximation. I really should just try to switch it to just afternoon. Because I don't have a set start time. I have a time I'd like to start by. And make sure you follow the Twitter account, because if I have to cancel stream for some reason, I do post on the Twitter account. Because my start time is not always 100% consistent depending on what time I woke up. Our schedules are very strange. And my sleep schedule is kind of like non-existent. So I do try to make sure I post over there if I have to cancel for any old reason. Oh, there we go. Let's break the needle by hitting the microphone. Let's not do that. Alright. Yeah, but so like I don't archive all of the videos, or the live streams over there, but most of them are. Most of them are. And I think when we finish up with Parkitect, right now we're working through the campaign modes over there. I'm not sure how many campaign modes we have left. We might be nearing all of the ones that we're gonna get, so I think we're on the one of the last 3 ones we have left to go. So that'll still take us a couple of weeks, but when we're done that, we're either gonna switch to Planet Zoo scenarios and do 2 days of Planet Zoo, or we might add an extra day of art. We'll see. We'll see how my hand behaves. Because sometimes a lot of zoo can make my hand swell. Oh, I have to sneeze. Excuse me. Oh, that came on suddenly. Allergy season. Whew. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness. It was so nice because it wasn't that terribly windy for like 2 days, and then all of a sudden the wind kicked right back up. It seems to be more windy here than it isn't. It's also very warm today. I think this is our warmest day so far of the year. I don't even know what temperature it is. I think they were saying we could have hit 90 today, but I haven't had the chance to check. So I do have a link to the Etsy store there. I don't have anything up in the Etsy store at the moment, so apologies for that. I have a few things I could post. I don't have the money to do the listing right now. So it's gonna have to wait a little bit until I can get some stuff posted up into there. So just, you know, check back periodically. It's probably gonna be a couple months before I can get anything posted. Because finances and stuff. So we've got other things that we have to deal with at the moment. Alright. I'm just kind of tapping this in. I'm kind of letting it do what it wants to do for the most part. Alright. Just kind of trying to keep this from getting a little too unruly. So I mean, you'll have some fuzz shed off the back, I guess would be the proper term. Not that big of a deal. It's fine. It happens. Don't panic. Alright. So, I still need to do a demo video for prepping the wool. I said I was gonna do that. And I should have recorded that this week when I was working on that chicken for my mom, because I did have to prep a bit of extra white wool for the chicken. Or yarn, rather. Not wool. Acrylic wool. There we go. Acrylic yarn. I didn't. I forgot. I thought about it, and then I got distracted by something else and didn't end up doing it. So, we'll have to do a demo video for that. And then once I get that done and edited, I will add that to the Nisey Paints playlist, probably in front of all of the needle felting projects. Sorry, sometimes words fail me while I'm trying to do something else. Apologies. Okay. So, let's see here. Alright, so we need to come about here, and then we can swap it back to black and get this other side done. Just trying to keep it even going across here. Keep stuff from getting weirdly bunchy. And then once we get all of this in, then we can move on to the next part of the tutorial. Now, in the first one that we did, I think I did the entire background first before we did anything in the top half. This time I wanted to take it a little bit slower and do the bottom half of the background as we got there. mostly because this one was a black canvas for him, and I wanted to see how things were going to progress. Still not 100% happy with how I did the clouds up here. I might fix them. I'm trying to tell myself to leave them alone, but that it'll make more sense as we get further along. I'm just not a fan of like the fingery clouds, like how he did the clouds in this one. But if we're going to follow along with the tutorial, that is how he basically made them look. We kind of had to improvise with the colors though, because he just did some white, and he had like what the hell was it, phthalo blue or whatever it was, already up there on top of the black canvas, and he was just making shades of color happen as he went. And we don't really have that luxury with the fiber, so we have to make the colors happen. They don't just happen on their own here. Hold on one second. Oh my goodness. My nose is itching so bad. I am sorry. It's just one of those days. I'm allergic to where we live. I'm pretty much convinced of this now. I feel like they've been cutting hay fields recently, so... and it's much too hot to have the windows closed. Much too hot. Alright. And you can cut this stuff down to the size that you want. So if you have a piece that's a little big, feel free to trim it down. That's fine, you can cut it. Not a big deal. Alright. Just gonna cover up that little gap that we had there. Alright. Peel that up. So we've got a little bit more blue that we need to lay in here. And as you, like, if you use a big piece and then you start stabbing it in, you'll see how it starts to shrink down a bit from the fiber being pulled in to the backing. So you may need more fiber than you think you do. So I just have like sandwich bag sized Ziplocs, kind of full of fluff, just to make sure that we have enough to get through our live stream session with the colors that we're going to be working on. I have a whole bunch of colors hanging up behind me. I kind of feel like a cotton candy vendor. I've got so many bags of multicolored floof. And I do recommend every so often, like as you're done putting a section, or like that section of fiber, whether it be roving or acrylic yarn, in, to peel it up off of your mat. Especially, well, maybe not so much if you're using the foam mat, but at least if you're using the felt mat, because it's very possible and very easy to felt or needle felt your project to your pad. And while you can peel it up with a little bit of effort, it can, depending on the size that you're working on, it can distort it a little bit, because you're pulling on your base, and so sometimes that can make it look a little crooked on one side. So that is why I'm constantly peeling it up, is I'm trying to keep the weird crooked from happening, because I had that happen on one piece. My left hand is not that strong. My left hand is my dumber hand. It doesn't like to cooperate sometimes. But yeah, that's kind of why I'm constantly doing that. Because I've had that happen, and it was interesting getting it back up. I had a little bit of a panic moment when I'm like, oh god, it's not coming up. Because I didn't know how strong I could pull it without, I didn't know how much pressure I could put on it and still not mess it up, so just something to keep in mind. Now, there is no art stream tomorrow. This week's schedule should be returning to normal. Actually, before I say that, let me take a look real quick. Alright, let me hide the tutorial for a second, because I need to go into the weather. I know our stream schedule this week was a little strange. What's 82 right now? Because of the storms that we had. But as of right now, it doesn't look like, it doesn't look like we're gonna have any weather issues for the rest of the week. Looks like the only day where we may have storms might be on Saturday, and I don't stream on Saturday anyhow. So, yeah, this week looks to be a normal week for streaming. So that's good. Unlike this past week. So we'll be streaming on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. I don't normally stream on Saturday, because I am busy helping out with a podcast on Saturdays. I do a lot of the, not really post-production, but, I set up the posts for where it's going to be posted after the Twitch 24-hour nonsense gets done, and I have to post up the articles about said podcast for what happened that day on a website and all that stuff. So that takes me a few hours, and then some weeks I'm on the podcast. This week I am. I will be on the podcast this coming week. So I try to host it on Saturdays. It's for it's a World of Warcraft podcast, so I am part of the WoW Challenges community for WoW, for Warcraft, and we're an interesting bunch of people that try to follow different ways to level. And I am going to be a guest over there this week. And I'm also one of the mods for their community and stuff, so I have a few year history with them. Alright, so I think we'll grab some more black. It's hot in here, so my hands are sweaty. They're a little sweaty, so the fluff's kind of sticking to me a little bit. But that's okay. Alright, so now to start to get this kind of worked in here. So you can see as we're working on the edge here, you can see how this is pulling in a little bit. So that's why I'm trying to move across as we go this time. Actually surprised Zuzu hasn't bugged us yet. Although now that I said something. Well, I guess it's a little early for him. He seems to be at a set time frame of when he thinks I should be done. And for those that are new here, I don't normally play music. I used to, but with all of the DMCA stuff, I really don't want to get hit with anything accidentally. I used to use Pretzel, which was supposed to be safe for streamers, and then I got one of my VODs muted because of one of the songs that played on there, so I was like, what is this nonsense? And then I was like, screw it. I'm not playing these games, so we're just not gonna. So, you know, whatever you guys want to listen to in the background, feel free to put that on. Because I'm sure that we have very different music tastes. And that's totally fine. But that way you're happy, and I'm happy. Normally I would just have the my desktop sound muted, and then I would just be listening to whatever. I did start to put together a music playlist on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, of stuff that's off of my main playlist that I would listen to while I'm doing art. It's a pretty long playlist, so it is nowhere near... That was a very loud truck. Sorry about that. We live on a very busy street, for those that are new here. It is nowhere near done. Nowhere near. In fact, I think I might still be on the A name artists. That's going to take a while to put together as I have time. Oh, there you are. Are you okay?
Yep.
Do I need to do anything for you?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Sorry, husband hasn't been feeling well the past couple of days, so I'm just checking in on him. Okay, so let me carefully peel that up. Alright, so I feel like we should probably kind of break that up just a little bit so it's not quite so like straight. Kind of hard to see the difference between the black and the dark blue. I think this yarn company is calling this a dark denim. It also doesn't help because the bright orange is kind of reflecting all of the light from my bright light back up at my camera. But that's alright. We'll figure it out. Once we get more of the orange covered, that'll start to cooperate a little bit more. As it tends to do. Can't wait till we get to the bright piece of yellow felt. Oh, that's gonna be quite bright. We'll probably need sunglasses on until we get that covered up with our base colors on that. Alright. So I'm just trying to break up this little edge here because it got a little too straight on us. There's Zuzu. Hi. I was wondering where you were. Figured it was about time for you to come bug me. Hi. Do you have to potty? Hmm? Do I need to get him? Yeah. Huh? I'll get him. Okay. Zuzu's one of the doggos. For those that are new. One of our old doggos. Well, I call him old. I don't really know if he's considered old or not. He's pushing 10? Maybe? I don't know. I lose track of time. I will know if when I go back and look to see when I posted his puppy picture on Facebook.
You said 10 like this week earlier.
Yeah, I'm wondering now if it's actually 11. It's 10 or 11. Put it that way.
We don't know their expected lifespan anyhow.
Yeah, I mean they're little guys, so we don't really know. I mean they could live to be 18 for all we know. But he's just a little guy. It's about 20 pounds, I think. And his brother. You know you're allowed to put your fan on.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing alright.
I wasn't sure how hot you were. Alright, looks like Momo didn't want to go. We have his litter mates. They are actually brothers and they look nothing alike. People don't believe us when we tell them they're from the same litter. They're like, no. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, they are. Absolutely nothing alike. Like, Momo looks like Skeletor. He's so friggin' skinny and bony. He eats constantly. There's nothing wrong with him. Well, nothing stomach-wise wrong with him. He's just a bony guy. He's very skinny compared to his brother. He was like a solid tank. They're both pretty close in weight. I'd say Momo's maybe 18 to 20. Zuzu's probably like 20 to 22, 23, somewhere around in there. Completely different body shapes. Zuzu's low to the ground. Kind of think like a bulldog that's stocky and short and stuff. They are corgi mixes. But the corgi has almost been mixed out of them. It's almost non-existent. Although, he's pretty sassy, so I think that might be where the corgi is more personality-wise than anything right now. I was a little disappointed when we got there, because I was like, oh, a corgi mix. And they showed their grandmother they had on the property, who did have a decent corgi resemblance, but these guys did not. They look more terrier than anything. But that's okay. they were free doggos and I fell in love, and we ended up getting 2 from the same litter because we didn't want the one to be lonely. And while Zuzu is insanely jealous at times, he's not viciously so, and it's cute to see like Momo having a bad dream. Hey, Mrs. Rakuru. Like when Momo's dreaming, you can tell if it's a bad dream or not because Zuzu will go over and check on him. Because Momo's kind of a vocal dreamer. He'll be laying there barking, like tiny little puppy barks. He'll be like, woof, woof. So it's cute to see him checking up on his brother. So how are you, Mrs. Rock Arrow? How's everything going today? How's your challengers going? Or how's your DIY going? I know you said you were working on that. I have to shampoo a rug when we get done here. Well, it's still pretty warm, so the rug will dry in a more timely manner. Or one rug. The one room in this house is very high traffic, so I feel like I have to shampoo it like every 2 months or so. Oh, good. Good on all fronts. Very good. Very, very good. I know I said it at the beginning of chat, or the beginning of stream, but we really didn't have anybody in here then, so I'll say it again. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. At least my eyes aren't watering as bad as when we first started, so that's good. The overtiredness is real today. Very, very real. Oh my goodness. Alright, so this is just a pencil sharpener I have, for those that are curious. It's not a special tool or anything. I'm just using this to help me flatten out the back. That's all. It's nothing special. Same thing I was doing with the back of the handle of that thing. It's just sometimes I grab my pencil sharpener so I don't get my needle caught and break it again, which I'm prone to do. And you don't have to do that part. It's just I find it works out a little bit better to help keep things a little bit flatter. You alright?
Yeah, he just beat a little bastard.
No num-nums today?
Nope, haven't seen him yet. Mom hasn't either. I haven't caught him on camera.
Interesting.
I think they vanished once before for a full day, so...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that worried about it. He'll probably turn up around dinner time. He's probably out laying in the sun somewhere. We have 2 outdoor cats that keep having a turf war over our front porch. So we have PC, the original porch cat, that apparently does have a family, but he's like an outdoor cat for them, from what I've been able to gather. We had another cat show up. We don't know where the hell he came from. We had never seen him before. He just materialized out of nowhere, meowing one night in the rain, frantically. When the other cat was there, and then they were kind of having a turf war over our house, and we thought that this new cat won because we hadn't seen the other cat, the original cat, in a while, and we named the new cat Nom Noms because all he wants to do is fucking eat, and he's eating us out of house and home. And he keeps hanging really close to the door whenever we're trying to come out, and I'm like, you can't come in. I'm sorry, but you can't. We have 5 cats in this house already. We don't have room for another one. I'm sorry, but it's just not gonna happen. We have 3 males in here already and 2 females. And the one female is not too keen on the males, or at least one specific male. So we have to kind of keep her separated from that particular male. So we rotate who's hanging out in the one bedroom throughout the day. So she'll spend half the day out, or most of the day out with everybody else. And then at bedtime, Russell goes in that bedroom and sleeps with her while the mother-in-law is away. Because the mother-in-law used to hang out with her in her room. Just to keep her from getting upset about the other male cat. And mother-in-law's not here right now. So he's been kind of taking up cat babysitting duties. And then the male cat will spend most of the night out with everybody and in a good part of the morning, depending on when the husband gets up and switches them out. And then some nights he's in there with the husband, and the female will be out and roaming with the rest of the cat population. We make it work. They're both so attached to us, we didn't feel right rehoming one or the other, and we can make this work for a while. So, and they seem fine. So it's all good, but we can't bring another male cat into this house. We just can't. Especially, oh, you okay?
Yeah, cats must have knocked something over onto the fan cord.
Okay. Sorry, so I heard something fall, just making sure her husband was okay. And, especially with the way he acts towards the other male cat that comes around the house, I don't know if either one of these cats are fixed. I think the one cat is, because he's got a notch cut in his ear, like he was part of a catch and release program or like a barn cat program or something with the local pound. Because usually when they do the cat spay and neuter clinic that they have in town for free or for like $5 or something, if it's an outdoor cat or something, they like notch the ears so they know it's been fixed and that they have a history of dealing with that cat. So the one cat's ear is notched, the other one is not. We don't know if this other cat got dumped. We don't know if he has a family. He seems to get around the neighborhoods pretty good, because our one neighbor's like, oh yeah, he's been around for a little while. And I'm like, well, where the fuck did he come from? We only found him one night that he showed up meowing like crazy. That was the first time we had seen him. And he's very, very friendly. Like, he flops down on our feet. He's rolling around on his back. He wants all of the love and attention. We can't pick him up, though. My mom, I think, tried to pick him up once, and he growled. So she's like, okay. I'm like, Mom, don't pick up the cat. We don't know him that well. Like, what the fuck are you doing? My, like, 70-some-year-old mother trying to pick up a cat that we don't know. So we don't know if he was dumped. We don't know if he's somebody's outdoor cat. We don't know what his deal is, but he likes to hang around our door a little too much. Like, he won't let us get out the door to feed him. He, like, sits right up against it. I'm like, sir, if you want food, you have to move. And we had started thinking, well, maybe if the husband's disability happens, we can get him vetted. Because we don't know his vetting status, and get him fixed. And maybe we can let him in. And I'm like, you've seen the other male cats in this house, right? The one male cat digs at our window and door trying to get outside to get this cat. Like, I don't think that's gonna go well, so... And we don't know if he has a family, because we tried to post on Facebook in, like, 1 or 2 places, and nobody ever responded saying, oh yeah, hey, that's my cat. He's an outdoor guy. Or oh, hey, that's my cat, he's been missing, he got out. Nobody said anything about this cat, so we don't know what his deal is. But apparently there was all kinds of loose dogs this morning for some reason. Because I did see when I woke up that our pound was posting, no more intakes at this time, we are full. It's a very small property, apparently. I think they only have room for like maybe 6-7 dogs at a time. And also this morning somebody posted, yeah, some mom cat had her kittens on our porch like 2 days ago and she didn't come back yesterday and I need help with these kittens because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So I'm like, oh, that's not good. Those kittens need bottles like right now. That's a rough endeavor, bottle feeding kittens, because they gotta be bottle fed like every couple of hours and shit. But somebody found a Great Dane that was loose. There was another dog that was loose. And then I think there was another dog that was loose. And then the dogs that have been at the pound for a while already that haven't been claimed and they're trying to adopt out. Because I think our pound, our local pound doesn't, it's a no-kill shelter. And I feel bad, they really need a larger facility. And they have a 7-day hold on animals that they pick up, so if your animal's not chipped or they can't get in contact with you, like if the number's bad on the chip or something, after 7 days of no one looking for this dog, then they put it up for adoption. I think the same might ring true with the cats. They have a barn cat program. We kind of live in like, we live in a farming community that's turning into suburb, shall we say. It's kind of a mix right now where you've got like cow pastures next to residential subdivisions that are starting to move in. Which, you know, cool and all, but it's driving house prices through the roof. I don't know how anybody is affording to live out here. It's crazy. Like, I keep seeing things that we get in the mail periodically about, oh, hey, want to sell your home? It's probably worth, from just street value looking at it, probably close to, you know, $120,000. And I just kind of laugh and I'm like, yeah, no, it's not. Like, I know what the inside looks like. It ain't worth that. Trust me. Nobody's gonna pay that. This is definitely a fixer-upper. We've got some issues that need to be dealt with, so. But then again, I've seen houses that look like they're about to fall down with a gust of wind that are selling for that much, so maybe. But the problem is, if you sell right now and you're like, oh wow, you know, I only paid X amount for this and you're gonna offer me that, like, that's a hell of a markup. But there's nowhere to go, because all of the houses are either the same amount or 3 times more than what somebody just paid you for yours. And there's certainly nothing in our town. Everybody is like scrambling. Oh, is there anything for rent? Anything for sale? Anything for rent? And I'm like, they're like, I don't see anything on this website. Is there anything for sale? And it's like, no. It's like, you're not seeing anything because there is nothing. Like, houses are going up pending on the realty websites, or they're pending within like 2 hours. And I'm like, wow. Like, everybody wants to friggin' live here, and it's hilarious. Because their reasoning for wanting to live here is that they love the small town feel. Except if everybody moves into an area because they love the small town feel, it's no longer gonna have a small town feel. So I'm like, okay, well, I sort of understand the logic. I think the city's population is over 5,000 now, and it's not going to feel like a small town for very much longer. And then I feel like all of the people that want to move here, I'm like, did they tell you about the water? You know, I'm like, like, everybody wants to move here, I think, when they come through town during, like, the festivals, or, like, the craft fair that they have at the end of the summer. Or they pass through going to the antique stores and they're like, oh, I just love the charm of this place. And I'm like, yeah, you might want to live here, but did they tell you about the water issue? So it's like, I don't think they did. I think you need to do some more research before you get so hell-bent on wanting to live here. At one point, the water for town during the week was coming from one of the lakes, like just on the edge of town. Okay, fine. You know, they have a water treatment plant and stuff. It's like, okay. The water smells funny. Sometimes it smells like mud periodically throughout the year. And their explanation for it from the city was like, oh, the lake's just turning over. It's fine. You can drink it. And I'm like, it smells like low tide and mud. I don't want to drink that. It looks clear, but it smells bad. So I don't know about this. And somebody had said, wow, that lake sure turns over an awful lot. Because it's not like just one specific time of year that it does this. It'll be like 4 or 5 times, maybe 6 different times a year. Well, it'll go through this cycle. And some people were like, lakes don't normally turn over that much. Are you guys sure that this is okay? They've, in the past couple years, started to replace the water lines through town. Before they did that, our water coming into the house would periodically be like dirt brown. And I'm like, I'm not washing the dishes in that. I don't think so. So, we don't use the tap water to drink. We don't use the tap water to cook with. We don't give the dogs or the cats tap water to drink. We mostly use bottled water. Like, we have to wash our clothes in it, fine, whatever. And, you know, we have to, like, shower in it. But, since they replaced the water lines in front of our house, it hasn't really turned colors like it used to. I think once in a great while it does, but not like it did. Like, we'd be filling white bowls with the water to be like, is this actually off color, or are my eyes playing tricks on me? Like, we would be standing there asking each other, what color is that? Is that clear, or is that, like, funky? It shouldn't do that. Apparently some people are still complaining about periodically having brownish water. It sounds like they haven't replaced all of the water lines in town, but they're working on it. But then they test the water kind of oddly here. They'll test it, and then, I don't know, we'll get a letter in the mail. So, good example of this, I don't know if it was last year or earlier this year. We got a letter in the mail that said, oh, hey, we did our normal tests that we do on the water, checking contaminant levels and things in August. We got the results back in September. I'm like, what? You got the results back in the end of September. You sent it in the beginning of August. Okay. The letter was dated November. Okay? And they're like, oh, there were some slightly elevated this, and this chemical. It was still fine to drink. We dumped some more stuff to counteract it into the water. Everything's fine. And I was like, that's not fine. And it's really not fine that we're not getting this letter till November when you got the results back in September. It's bad enough it took them a month to get you the results back anyway. And, yeah, so we don't drink the tap water because, we don't find out if there was an issue till like 2 to 3 weeks after the fact. There's been other times where there was a thing where they're like, oh yeah, we dumped, this was elevated, but we dumped some more stuff in it and it was fine. Everything's good. And it's like 2 weeks after the fact, and I'm like, is that why it smelled like there was so much chlorine in the water when we opened the tap? Because it smelled like I was standing at a hotel pool. Like, that's how strong the chlorine smell was. And I'm like, I don't know if we really should be drinking that much chlorine, or whatever the hell else they dumped in there that smells like it. It was really strong. Like, you could smell it like 5 feet away from the faucet with the water running, and I was like, that's pretty potent there. Like, we'll flush the toilet with the lid down and you can smell the chlorine smell. And I'm like, fascinating. So when there's so many people that are like, oh, I want to live there so much, I'm like, did they tell you about the water? Are you sure? I mean, you know, reevaluate this, because you're going to be spending a lot of money on bottled water. Like, a lot of money. Like, it kills us, the amount of money that we spend on bottled water. It is ridiculous. Like, that's like the main reason we have a Sam's membership, is so that we can get water cheaper. Because we have to buy so much of it. It is ridiculous. Like, I didn't have that problem when we lived in New Jersey. We could drink the tap water. It never smelled like that. And it tasted fine. Didn't taste terrible. Never smelled like mud, I can tell you that much. It was very off-putting the first time that, you know, I was gonna get water out of the tap here, and they're like, no, don't drink that. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my. So it's like, do your research. Maybe join some Facebook pages for the towns that you're looking to move to, and just kind of lurk for a bit, see what people are saying, see what, you know, people are complaining about. Make sure you join the right Facebook pages, though. Chestnut, please, hello. I'm lurking, but I just wanted to unlurk momentarily to thank you for the soothing stream. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Happy lurking. No problem. Lurkers are welcome. I suffer from only child syndrome where I talk a lot, so I don't know if that's a real thing, but the husband makes fun of me for it sometimes. Which is funny, because when I'm not streaming, I don't talk that much. Ooh, it is toasty. Toasty day. Summer is heading for us. Oh, right, I started to say, make sure you join the right Facebook pages, though, if you're trying to get some intel on an area that you want to move into, because our town has interesting Facebook pages run by, you know, people that live here. It's not run by the city. It's run by, you know, different people in town. I think they're closed groups, so you have to ask to join the group. But the one page, they want everything kept like flowers and unicorns and everything about living here is so magical and wonderful. And if you even think about making an unpositive or unflattering post about the town or like an issue you've run into that you're having trouble getting resolved and asking if anybody else has had the same issue, they immediately they either don't post it or they delete it, because they've started doing a thing where your post has to be approved. And I'm like, wow. So to counter that, someone else made an uncensored version of the same page that someone else is running. And there you can kind of go off about whatever, but they're like, you need to leave the comments on your post and you need to deal with the consequences of anything that your mouth spewed out may bring down upon you. Basically. Just interesting. So yeah, make sure that you do your research, because when people were voicing their concerns over the watercolor and smell and stuff, they were immediately deleting those posts, and I'm like, that's kind of important. Why would, like, people need to know, like, why are you deleting these posts? I know you want things to be all flowers and sunshine, but that's kind of something that needs to be dealt with and not ignored. Like, does the city know something's going on, or are they just ignoring it because not enough people are complaining about it? Like, why are you going to such pains to not let people voice their concerns about this? It just made me pause, and I'm like, we didn't really have a choice in landing here. It just kind of happened with the way life circumstances played out for us. And mother-in-law lived here, husband's mom, so we just kind of ended up here. But yeah, definitely look into things. If it seems too good to be true, try to figure out what's the catch. Because something may not be right. Like, his mom got this house fairly inexpensively at the time that she bought it. And her family kind of pushed her into buying it. She didn't really have that much time to really look around, so she kind of just went for it when it came up because of the price, and to get them to back off, basically, to get them off her back, to shut up about it. Because they were just being obnoxious about it. She didn't want to deal with their bullshit anymore, so she just kind of, like, fine, here, I'll just buy this one. Kind of situation. Without really doing any... Are you okay, puppy? What's the matter?
What is making noise?
It sounded like Zuzu was trying to throw up. You okay?
He's just kind of sitting behind you with his ears back. What's up, buddy? Hi.
He looked like his head was hanging off the edge of the bed, so I was kind of...
What's up, buddy?
Did he have grass when he was outside?
Nope.
Huh.
What's up, buddy? You're okay.
Zuzu gets upset tummy sometimes. But, yeah, she really should have been able... Like, you don't rush through buying a house. It's a big thing. Like, you want to make sure that you're getting the inspections done, that you know what you're getting into, especially if you're buying as is. Because, you know, there could be some shit wrong. with a property. This house is very bizarre. This feels like somebody built this themselves. Like way back when. So, we've seen two different conflicting build dates on this property. One being 1921, and I've seen another build date of 1926. So I'm not sure which one's correct, but there's something, one of those. But it also looks like the house has been slowly added onto over time and made bigger, which, you know, is fine, but the way it was done is very bizarre. Like, there's two front doors on the house that lead out to a long front porch, which is kind of strange because it makes it from the outside almost look like a duplex. But it's not. It's all interconnected inside, so it's very strange. The one side of the house is built higher than the other, so inside you have to like go up like a half step or like a full step height up to go from one half of the house to the other. Even though it looks like it's the same height on the outside, but the ceilings on the other side of the house aren't as tall as the ones on, like, our room. The ceiling's very tall. I don't know if our room was added later or was added first. It's very strange. Like, usually sometimes, you know, when you're walking through a property or you're viewing it on like a real estate website, you can kind of figure out like the flow of a blueprint or something. So it's like, oh, okay, so the kitchen's here, you know, living room's here, you know, if there's a dining room, it's here, kind of deal. This house is very bizarre. There's one dedicated bedroom that's full on a bedroom, has its own bedroom door that closes and everything. That's at the very back of the house. And then there's, you know, one bathroom. And it almost seems like the house has two living rooms, which is really strange because there's one on each side that connect to the door that leads out to our front porch. And it looks like there used to be a doorway between the two rooms that flowed in between them, right? Somebody covered it up with a piece of wood. They closed off the doorway. And, I don't know. You can still see the doorway on the one side. Very clearly that it's a doorway, because it still has the trim all around it, you know. And it's very obvious that a doorway was there. Maybe not with a door, but the hole for the doorway is definitely there. On the other side of the wall that it connects to, there's no trim or anything. I guess that was maybe ripped off, and there's just like a piece of wood like nailed or screwed in place over the hole. So that's kind of strange. And we're like, okay. So, right. And then, on the one side of that doorway, they took more wood and put it across the doorway, right? To make shelves. I guess to kind of hide the fact that there used to be a doorway there, so it kind of looks like built-in shelving that's inset into the wall. A little strange, but like, okay, sure. And that ended up getting turned into, the one side of this doorway ended up getting turned into a bedroom. except there's no door that closes off that bedroom. So it's, like, when Russell and I were in that room for our bedroom, we just had, like, a heavy curtain up that you couldn't really see through. Because we didn't have the funding at the time to buy a door to put it up there. We were thinking about it, but stars never aligned for us to actually put a closing door up in there. Then, so then it was sort of made into a 2-bedroom, half-assedly. And there was a dining room and a kitchen. Then my dad moved in, so we moved into the living room. Or what was supposed to be the living room. Because, we don't have people over. It doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? There's a back door. There's the 2 doors that open out onto the front porch. So his mom would come and go through the back door a lot. And then, like we each kind of had our own door type of thing. And we don't really have a dining room table. We kind of just all eat in our own little corners. We don't really have room for a dining room table. Our dining room has kind of become our storage facility, so to speak. So, like, we don't have any closets in this house. I don't know who built this damn house, but there's no closets. Like, how can you build a house without a closet? This completely just blows my mind. There's one closet in the other room, in the room that my parents are using. And that's a whole nother long ass story. We're not getting into that today. There's some of you partially know it already, but we're not rehashing that today. There is a closet in their room that we've got some stuff stored in. It's not a very big closet, all things considered. I have my water globes that moved with us down here that I didn't want to part with because, there was a lot of money invested in those. A lot of them are from San Francisco Music Box Company and were Christmas gifts and stuff. And a lot of them were like $50 to $60 a pop. So I really didn't want to get rid of them. However, I have nowhere to display them here because the one cat's a dick. And he likes to knock stuff off of things. And I'm not comfortable displaying them because if they shatter at this point, I don't think San Francisco Music Box Company makes the ones that I have any longer, even though they supposedly had like a lifetime replacement guarantee if something broke on them. I don't think I can actually replace them now. So, well, I might be able to get something of comparable value. I don't think I can replace that exact one, so I'm afraid to display them without them being in like a curio cabinet or something, or like a china cabinet that has doors that I can keep them out of. So they've kind of been in their boxes for the last 10 years. I think it's been about 10 years since we moved here. I believe our 15th wedding anniversary is coming up. And there's like a walk-in, not really a walk-in closet. His mom has a closet that's like 2/3 the length of her one wall in her room. And there's a half closet in the bathroom for like towels and shit. That's it. That's all the closets we have. So, like, Russell and I have I have a shelf that we have the clothes on that we're wearing predominantly depending on the season. Otherwise, our clothes are in like plastic storage containers. We can't really like move into the mother-in-law's room because she's going to be coming back. She's just away on a trip. She's traveling while she's able to travel around the country with her one sister. So who the fuck knows when she's coming back. My parents are older than Russell's parents. But, I don't know how old his mom is. I really don't. Like, my parents were born in the 40s. I want to say. Yeah, they were born a few years apart from each other in the 40s. Like, I think one was born in 41 and the other one might have been born in 43. But I can't remember when his mom was. I don't know, but I know she's not as old as my parents. But, so she's just trying to travel while she's still physically able to get around. I think her sister bought a small RV that they're traveling around in. Ah! Fuzz. Bigger clump of fuzz than I wanted. Alright. But she's gonna be coming back eventually, so... Well, it's been nice not having her here to a degree for my nerves. Because her and I, she definitely knows how to get under my skin, let me put it that way. And she definitely, she doesn't think before words come out of her mouth, and some stuff she doesn't take as seriously as she should. And, so that's always been a point of contention with the husband and I. He does it to her, or no, she does it to him, excuse me, as well, where she'll not think and say something and piss him the fuck off too. So it's not just me. But like, she'll not think anything's wrong with what she's saying. Like, she'll be like saying it in a joking manner, but it definitely totally wasn't a joke to us. And it was like a serious topic or something. And like, the one time she made a joke about the dude that was kind of stalking me at work and being creepy at me at work, that totally is still sort of a point of contention. And she does things that he would do, and I'm like, could you not? Could you not do that? Like, repeatedly, multiple times. Like, not just like once or twice. Like, this is like every other month, every couple of months. I'm like, please don't do that. You know, like, since the entire time we've lived here. Like, I've not been shy about telling her, hey, can you not? And this is why. Could you not? And then, like, right before she left again, she made a rather upsetting joke about it, and I was not pleased. So, while my nerves are happy she's not here right now, it's also a little bit harder to keep her spending in check, because she's a bit of a hoarder, and she sees something, she impulse buys it. So Russell and I usually have to try to ride herd on her, because she's on a fixed income, and she can't just buy whatever the fuck she wants. Like, she needs to stick to a budget, so she doesn't end up owing, like, or paying, like, $300 in overdraft fees at the end of the year. I don't think it's quite gotten that high. I think the one year it was, like, up to $200 in overdraft fees at the bank, and I'm like, okay, look, we need to stop this. We need to figure out what's causing this to happen. And I sat down and looked at her bank statement, because making a budget with Russell just wasn't working. And I was like, what is this? Because this is a very weird amount that seems to be overdrafting you. What is this? And she's like, oh, that's my life insurance. I was like, can we see if they can move the payment date? Because this is becoming a problem. And the bank's getting mad at the overdraft fees. Like, maybe we should call them and see if it's possible that, hey, there's a date conflict here. Just ask if there's any way that date can be changed as to when that's hitting your bank account. If they say no, then we'll definitely have to get it into your head that you have to budget for that. If they say yes, then we can budget a little bit easier. Because it hit at a very awkward time towards the end of the month, but it's a lot harder to keep her in check when she's multiple states away and we can't, like, physically, not aggressively, but we can't, like, physically be in her face and say, this is a problem. Like, it hits differently in person than it does over the phone or in a text message or something. Like, a text message she can just ignore and be like, whatever. But, you know, if she's here in front of us and we can, you know, try to drill the point home of, hey, not cool, you know. Sometimes it sticks for a week or two, and sometimes it just doesn't stick at all. One never knows. Oh, right. That fuzz off of there. Okay. So we are about to here. So we probably need to put some more blue in this middle section. Sorry for the snuffles. Bad allergy day, as it seems to be most days are bad allergy days, but if I take Benadryl, I will be next to useless. Even the non-drowsy stuff. The kids' shit. The kids' non-drowsy X brand knocks me on my ass. Like, I don't know why, but it does. So we're just gonna have to suffer through. I swear they must have cut hay recently. At least my back's doing better. It's not 100%. That was a rough month and a half there. That I fucked it up pretty good. I was about to break down and go to the doctor because just standing up out of my chair was like, it was pretty bad. Like, my husband had to help me get up a couple of times because it hurt too much to do it on my own. But I think it was a ligament pull or a disc was slightly not where it needed to be. And eventually got a couple of pops out of my back, and things started to settle down, so something was misplaced. And it's not the first time it's happened, so it wasn't a surprise. It was a surprise how long it lasted. That was the first time it had gone on quite that long. But last time it happened, I think it was like a week, 2 weeks, and then I was good to go. This time it's taken a lot longer to get back to some sort of functionality. Because that was pretty rough this time. So I think I'm maybe at about 95%, something like that. So I'm still a bit sore trying to get up out of bed, and bending over or bending down, I have to be a little bit careful, but picking anything heavy up is an adventure also. I had to move our stand mixer, and it's probably not really that heavy to most people, but I don't know how heavy it is. Like, trying to compare it to the dogs, it might be maybe 10 pounds-ish. That actually, I felt that when I picked that up. I was like, ooh, maybe we're not as good as we thought we were. But husband has a broken tooth problem right now. He'd had a tooth break a few years ago. But it was a root canal tooth, so it wasn't really bothering him, and him and I are both not crazy good at dealing with the dentist, and since it wasn't hurting him, he's like, fuck it, whatever. And he kind of just rolled with it. And then, I don't know if it was a year ago or whatever, it shifted and started causing him pain. And he had an appointment to go get whatever was left that was still sitting in there pulled. And then it stopped hurting, so he's like, oh, well, fuck that, I'm not going. I really don't have the money to do this right now because we don't have dental insurance. And then it flared back up again this week. Like, he thought he actually had tetanus at one point, or was getting lockjaw, because he had touched a piece of metal that had poked through the gloves that he had on, and it did like a tiny little pinprick in his hand, but he'd had a tetanus shot that was still good. He had a tetanus shot that was still within the 10 years on it. But, you know, husband being husband and his anxiety issues and everything, immediately his brain was like, oh god, I've got tetanus. And I really didn't think he did. And then he realized that no, this is coming from the tooth. And I was like, well, you're gonna have to get it out. He goes, well, with what money? We don't have the money for it. We have one credit card left that doesn't have anything on it that he might need to check on to make sure it's still active. Because we haven't used it in a while. And he was gonna see about getting into the people we were gonna have do my dental surgery. That hasn't happened yet because life exploded and the sewer line getting fixed was a higher priority than my dental surgery, and because they were both roughly the same amount of money, and we didn't really have the money to do my dental surgery at that time anyhow. We were gonna piecemeal it. We were only gonna do the very, very bare bones to get it started, because I have to have a bone graft done because of the tooth that it is apparently. And the dentist I went to was like, yeah, well, you're gonna have to get a bone graft done, and you're gonna have to do a bridge or an implant. And I'm like, whoa, wait, I just wanted this removed. But apparently because it's like a main chewing molar, that's the problem, and where it's placed in my jaw, that they're like, yeah, you have to get a bone graft done no matter what, because your other teeth on either side could like collapse in. And I'm like, oh my god, what are you talking about? So, you know, me being an absolute effing baby and pansy when dealing with the dentist, and, you know, I'm like envisioning all sorts of terribleness, and so we actually had to cancel it because of the husband's appendicitis surgery that abruptly came up out of nowhere. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to reschedule this. They're like, okay, what do you want to reschedule it to? I'm like, I don't know. My husband has to have emergency surgery, and I don't know when we're gonna be able to reschedule this. I will call you back at that time. And they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, sorry. But my tooth is a dead tooth anyway. There's no nerve in it, so there's just pressure. That's all I feel. But yeah, he was able to get an appointment with the University of Arkansas for Tuesday, where they do a $99 visit, And I don't know what all that entails. I don't know if that entails the possible extraction or what. Like, we don't think it's infected, but we don't.
It's going to be an extraction at the very least.
Is that what it's going to cover, though, or is it going to be more than that? We don't know.
Well, the fee that they charge is just the price to get you to look at you.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know how much.
But that includes the X-rays and shit. So.
Okay, so that's still cheaper than it would have been to go to the guy we were going to go to for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because we are on state assistance insurance at the moment or something. But it doesn't cover dental. So, sucks. It really, like, I don't understand why they have separate dental insurance. Like, it's still health. Like, why isn't it considered under everything? Like, why do we need a separate insurance for this? This is ridiculous. Same thing with eye health. Like, it's still health insurance, but you have to have a separate one for that too. It's dumb. Really dumb. Because I need to get new glasses as well. Husband managed to get his. That's another thing I was supposed to get too. I was supposed to get my glasses done this year.
Yeah, if the card does not get filled with my emergency thing, we're probably going to get your glasses on it. Because there's just no way it's going to get paid off in a reasonable time frame.
We'll see, because we still have to pay the money back on the sewer, and that's...
On what?
On the sewer to your aunt.
Yeah, I know, but hon, we're going to be having to pay the exact same amount whether you get the glasses or not on that card every month.
We'll see.
So we're probably going to get your glasses if the card doesn't get filled up with my emergency.
Yeah, well, you need to call and make sure that card's still active, unless you know for sure it is, because we haven't used it in so long.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it is. Well, I'll give him a call. I'll give him a call one day.
Either that or look on the website or something, because
I've been checking the websites. They've been live on the websites.
Like, I just don't want them to think suddenly it's like a fraud thing and block the charge, so. Because that would be a hell of a thing to have happen. Hasn't been used in forever, and then BAM! $100 plus charge on there, and be like, whoa, 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 what the fuck is this? And have them try to fraud hold
tell you
it.
what, I need to go get some booze tomorrow anyhow.
For your mouth, yeah.
Yeah, for my tooth, because I'm using up your dad's, and I don't want to get into the other stuff that he has. So, I'm gonna have to get that anyhow. I'll buy it on the card to make sure it's running.
Hopefully the place down the street has it.
They should have something equivalent.
Okay. Yeah, like the only thing that he's been in so much fucking pain, like over-the-counter painkillers have stopped touching it. He's had to do like a combination of like ibuprofen and like soaking Q-tips in. What did he give you? Is it whiskey?
It is 80 proof Canadian whiskey.
Yeah, he's had to like soak Q-tips in whiskey and like hold it on his gum, like on the tooth area. Like that's like between that and the ibuprofen, that's been the only thing that's.
Yeah, the first day I spent putting cold water and ice cold water and eventually ice on it, and it helped for that long, but eventually the ice stopped working. So, there's another spike. Ouch.
We'll stop talking. So, it's been a rough weekend. It's like these things always happen on the weekends too, or on a holiday when nobody's available, when you have an emergency. And he even called the emergency room. They're like, yeah, we can't do anything for you. But I'm thinking that the University of Arkansas visit's going to be cheaper because it's probably a teaching thing, or like a teaching clinic maybe. But at this point, it doesn't matter. Something has to be done. Just because of the amount of pain he's in. The last time it backed off and stopped hurting, and he was waiting for it to do that this time, and it didn't. It just kept getting worse. So something is just hitting a nerve
Well, it's the bloody tooth trying to move in.
The absolute wrong way.
I have a wisdom tooth that's coming in almost sideways, and it's pushing against a normal tooth.
I'm surprised you never had that removed.
I never had the money. You know?
I still have my wisdom teeth, but they were...
The dentist who got my wisdom teeth said he figured that one would probably push upright because of this other tooth, but it never happened. And so now I'm probably going to have to get both of them yanked, but to be honest, they were both in bad condition anyhow.
They don't normally do one wisdom tooth, though. They usually do the matching one on the other side when they pull the one.
Yeah, but it was weird circumstances, and it was a surgery. So
no, I'm just letting you know this time they might not take that tooth without taking the opposite
the other one's
one.
Gone.
Oh, it is?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because usually they do wisdom teeth in pairs.
The wisdom teeth on my left side are gone.
Oh,
the right side are present. The top one isn't an issue, but the bottom one is.
Oh, see, I still have all 4 of mine. The one dentist I went to was like, yeah, you should really get your wisdom teeth out. And I just kind of looked at him. I'm like, why? Like, they didn't hurt. Why would I remove a tooth if it's not a problem? Like, that part of my brain, like, just was not computing this. And I'm just like, why are we gonna mess with something that's not an issue? There was no pressing matter at the time that they were making worse. And I couldn't fathom why he's like, oh, you really need to get those out. And I'm like, he's like, you really need to get them all done. And he's like, and you should have them all done at the same time. And I just looked at him, I'm like, what? We're not pulling 4 teeth out of my head at the same time. Number 1, that's not happening. There's no fucking way. And number 2, is there like a cavity in them? Are they creating an infection somewhere? Or are they breaking a tooth somewhere because they're being pushed forward? Like, what is the issue? Bless you.
Ow.
Yep.
Doesn't help I had a Q-tip in my mouth. Oh,
No,
holy hell.
no, don't.
Oof.
Please don't swallow your Q-tip or choke on it.
Oh, no, I can't. But it pressed against my tooth when I sneezed.
Yeah, I can imagine. My sneezes were full body sneezes while my back was real bad. I can only imagine how much that it hurt with that tooth. Because, like, everything clenched with that. But yeah, so we need to go shopping at some point this week because we're out of all of our supplies. I think we had to get a couple emergency cases of water to try to hold us till we got the money from my parents this month, because they kind of give us money to put towards our expenses in lieu of rent, basically. Some of it goes towards paying a bill here and there, but otherwise it's just kind of paying our bullshit at the moment, because the husband's trying to get his disability sorted. They're still jerking us around on that, but we're back to in a void of silence on that. We probably won't hear anything for probably another month if we're lucky, because our lawyer was saying it could take 18 months for it to get approved from the time where you do your first application, if I was understanding that correctly. I don't think it was 18 months from appeal. I think it was 18 months from the first application. And March it was a year. So we're probably a year and a full month into it at this point. So 12, 13 months so far. Our lawyer said she was going to try to speed this up as fast as she possibly could. And she was working with a contact directly over there at the agency. So we got a surprise letter saying that they didn't receive paperwork that we gave the lawyer to give to them, and we're like, what do you mean you didn't get this? We gave it to the lawyer. And then we found an email from the lawyer saying they were having trouble printing it. And so we were starting to panic, and we never saw another email saying that the lawyer managed to get it to print and they sent it. We didn't see that email, so we called Social Security and we're like, hey, what do you mean you didn't get this? We gave it to our lawyer. And they said that they were going to give it to you guys. And so we were panicking, thinking the lawyer dropped the ball, and we're like, oh, what the fuck? And so we got like a 3-day extension on the date. And the lady that the husband talked to on the phone was like, it just has to be postmarked by that date. And we're like, that's fine, we'll have it postmarked by Monday. And so we sent off a hard copy, and we managed to get a hold of the lawyer, and they're like, oh no, we sent you another email saying that we were able to print it. We were in the process of switching our systems to something new, which is why we were having trouble printing it, but we did get it printed, and we sent it. We don't understand why you got this letter saying they didn't get it. And the lawyer, while Russell was on the phone with the secretary or something, resent it again and gave him the receipt saying that they sent it. Like, they emailed him the receipt saying, we sent it. We have the receipt saying we sent it. So, to cover our asses, we don't know if stuff crossed, if something was laying on somebody's desk and they just never noticed it. We don't know what the fuck happened. So to try to cover base, to try to keep shenanigans from happening even more so, we ended up sending a hard copy, as well as the lawyer sending in a digital copy, or printed the digital and faxed it over or something. Maybe the fax didn't read clean or something, I don't know. Fax machines can be temperamental at times. I remember that from working at the casino and faxes that we would get and stuff. But they didn't have a preset way for this paperwork to be sent digitally, I think, is what it was. Which, you know, that would solve a hell of a lot of problems if they did. I don't understand why they don't in this day and age, especially with how fussy the Postal Service has been. Or maybe not fussy is the right word. How erratically unreliable the Postal Service can be. Perhaps that's better phrasing. Where sometimes stuff just doesn't show up when you mail it, and who the hell knows where it goes? We never got our electric bill. We don't know where it is. We've been paying it online, and we should have gotten a copy of it in the mail, but we never got it for this month. Like, husband said to me the other day, he goes, have you seen the electric bill? And I'm like, no. Have you seen the water bill? He goes, no, I have the water bill. And we have the gas bill. And we have our internet bill. But our electric bill never showed up. We don't know if it got delivered to somebody else and they never put it back in the mail. We don't know, because we've been getting other people's mail. And if it wasn't the electric bill that we know we get every month, we probably wouldn't have even realized that it was missing. So one of the reasons that his first attempt to get his disability approved was denied was because they're like, oh, you didn't send us in paperwork we requested. We requested medical paperwork.
Well, no, they just straight up denied it.
Well, no, they said that we were missing paperwork, that they requested something, then we didn't send it. And we were like, what the hell are you talking about? We never got a request. Was it mailed and we never got it? Like, we don't know. Like, we got somebody else's mail a week or two ago that's like 1 or 2 streets over from us that has the same house number. So we just walked it over, and we were going to put it in their mailbox, but they were outside, and we're like, hey, is this your address? And they're like, yeah. And we're like, here, this got delivered to us by mistake. Because if you put it back in the mailbox and put return to sender or, not at this address, it's the right address most of the time on the envelope. The mail person just put it in the wrong box. So you saying, not at this address, like, the utility company is going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then that's going to just fuck everything up, because then they're going to be like, well, this is the wrong address. And it's like, no, it's not the wrong address. It was delivered to the wrong address. Because our postal people have been run absolutely ragged. And they've got so much they have to do. Like, the town's growing. More people are moving into the town. I don't think they've increased the number of postal workers. And a lot of these roads are kind of weird to find around here. Like, you definitely need GPS on some of them. Like, we didn't even know where the one street was that we had mail from. We had to look it up. Oh, that was another thing I had to do when I worked at the casino, was return mail. And I know that sounds so ridiculous, because we were in the in-house line of credit department, or I was. But we would get the casino's return mail for the marketing department. So all those stupid postcards and advertisements that they would send about, oh, free play weekend, or this sweepstakes is going on, come on in to for a chance to win, you have to be present to win, this car or whatever, and that sort of bullshit, or free room offers or discounted rate room offers, all the stupid little postcards and shit that you would get in the mail. They would, like, once a month bring down a cardboard box from marketing and give it to us, and we had to go through every piece of mail and try to verify if the address was correct, or, we'd have to match the address to what was in the computer system, to see, well, is this the same addresses? Do they match? And if they were credit clients and had lines of credit, then we had to suspend their account until we could verify their correct address with them, so they would have to come over and talk to us. But if they were just a slots player, then, sometimes we would suspend the mail, or we had a mail code for wrong addresses, or, address not verified, or some bullshit. But the most ridiculous thing about it was we were one of the few people in the casino, one of the few departments that could change an address. The people that set up like your player cards at the I don't know, guest services center, I don't know if that's what it was called, something along those lines. They could set you up for a brand new account, but they couldn't go in and change your address. That, like, boggled my mind. I'm like, what do you mean they can't change an address? They have access to the system. They put the address in there to begin with. What do you mean they can't? They weren't allowed to change an address. The casino hosts would bring people over periodically. They're like, yeah, we need to change an address. And I'm like, what? Like, it would just be like some run-of-the-mill every so often slot player, and they're like, yeah, we need to update an address. And I'm like, just kind of looking at them, I'm like, you deal with like $50,000 clients most of the time, $25,000 clients. You can't update an address in the system. But nope, they weren't allowed to. We had to do it. I guess because mostly if it was a credit player, then we had to suspend their credit line until we got their new address verified, because that was a thing. We had to have a home address verified. If we couldn't verify it, like, off of a credit report or something, then the line had to be suspended. Like, we had to know where to send mail in case there was a problem. Like, if legal needs to get a hold of you because your marker bounced, we need to know where to find you. Which, you know, fair enough, but we weren't allowed to run a credit report unless there were certain criteria. We couldn't just run a credit report. First of all, they had to be a in-house credit player. They had to have a file. And there had to be a reason. They either had to come in to try to get a line increase. It had to be X number of days since the last report. And I think we were updating files once a year? Once every 2 years? I can't remember. There was a certain time frame that we did a full fresh update, and I can't remember if it was yearly or if it was every 2 years. It might have gotten moved to every 2 years. But if they hadn't been in and didn't play within a certain amount of time, then they got moved to inactive. But, because the credit reports cost money to run. Not only do some reports put a ding on some reporting agencies, which is why they say it's not good to constantly run your credit report, because it can sometimes lower your score. At least it could when I was doing it. So we didn't run them for the shit sake of it. We had to have a reason for running it. And they cost money. They weren't free with the company we were using. So, who the hell were we using? Who were we using? It wasn't TransUnion. There was 3 companies that did it. Shit, who were they? I don't even remember now. There was TransUnion. There was someone with an E. And there was someone else. And I keep wanting to say the one with an E was...
Equifax?
Like, I keep wanting to say Expedia, but I know that's not it. Maybe it was Equifax? And there was someone else, and I can't remember the company that we used. Equifax might have been one. I know TransUnion was one of them. We didn't use them, though. Like, we had the number for all 3 agencies. In case, you know, something wasn't right and somebody trying to get credit or something was like, well, I don't owe that. Like, we would have the number. We couldn't give them a copy of their credit report because we paid for it in, you know, casinos, but and security and all that. But we could give them the number to call. Oh, that's gonna bug me now. Does it bug me enough to stop what I'm doing and look it up? I don't know. Yeah, it does. Let me look. Cause I'm weird like that. 3 main credit reporting agencies in the U.S. Like, I need to... Yeah, there's TransUnion. Experian! That's what it was. It was... I knew it was with an E, and I kept wanting it to be Expedia. It was TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, so there was 2 E's. I believed we used Experian. Because Equifax doesn't sound, like, familiar, but Expedia... It was probably Experian, because the EX, I remember. Close to each other, so sorry about that. My brain would not let that be. It happens sometimes. Not gonna lie, we know that here. Sometimes I have to put it to rest, or else it's just gonna it's gonna be there and it's gonna bother me. But yeah, like we just wouldn't, like if it was a slots player, we'd just be like, oh, mail got returned to sender. And then we'd rip up the postcard and throw it in the trash. We didn't have a paper shredder. For good reason. You don't want a paper shredder in a department that you're not supposed to be doing anything odd with financially sensitive documents. If we printed a document for a file, it had to go in the file. There were some customers that had 2 files that were about, oh god, how big were they? 1, 2, maybe 3 of these pads thick. Maybe 3 to 4 inches thick. And they would have 2 folders like that. I think one person, we were actually starting a 3rd folder. Like, we had to write on the outside of it, like, folder number. Oh god, and then one of those players bounced a marker. And it had to go through legal. And we had a subpoena where we had to copy and make a second file, a second set of files of that person's entire credit history. So we called them dummy files. And it was like a mock-up and photocopies of the entire main file that the lawyers would come down and sign out to take to court because they couldn't take the original out of the building. They couldn't take it out of the office. We're like, no, you can't have this. And so under subpoena, we would have to make photocopies. And oh, did the people in the cage, that's what they called where we worked, cashier cage, because we're behind bars. Basically, we're locked in through security checkpoints and buzzing of doors. It's very, very overwhelming at times because, you know, you enter an airlock. I'm not kidding. Like when I at the property I worked at, there was a security podium and there was a door. It was a very long, very wide door because they would bring like slot cages across the floor, like when they were emptying the like the slot machines, when they still took like the bill holders and stuff off the slot machines, they'd put them in these big ass metal I guess like think of like a trolley or kind of like a much smaller box car type thing on wheels that they would push across the floor. They would be like maybe chest high, waist high, something like that. And there'd be like security surrounding them, and so whenever they pulled the slot machine boxes at the end of the day, or whenever they did it, they would have to shuffle them over and go through these airlock doors, and then they would count all the money inside of these boxes. So they would have to come in through that door, and that was the door we used to access our area. We just went a different way down a hallway, and so we were right by a security desk. So they buzzed us in, and then we had to enter this airlock, and the door behind us had to fully shut and lock before the next door could be opened. And then we had another buzzer that we had to hit to let us through the final door, to let us into the back. And there was cameras set up in there so they could see who we were. And the one day the door broke. Actually happened a couple times, to the point where some of us were nervous going through the door locks, because the one day somebody got trapped in there for like an hour while they were trying to get the door to unlock. It was terrible. I don't remember who it was, but this one clerk and we hated going through that door lock because if it took security a few minutes to hit the buzzer, like if they were dealing with somebody at the security desk, they'd be a little slow to hit the next door lock to let us out of the lock in between. And they do that for security purposes, so if somebody gets in there that's not supposed to be in there, they can hold them there and they can't go anywhere until they get security down there on either side of the door to deal with them. We did have an emergency exit from our area, and we actually had to utilize that a few times because the door would break and it would get stuck locked, or one of the doors wasn't locking, and if both weren't locked, the other one wouldn't unlock. It was weird. You know, like an airlock effect. So one night it was down completely and they had security on that door making sure nobody did anything stupid. And then we had other security down on our emergency exit door that we had to use and show our badges to get in and out of, to get into the back. That was wild. Like, I don't think this is a good idea. But fortunately, there was never any robbery attempts while I worked there. There had been a robbery before I worked there. A few years before I worked there. And I think some people were injured in where somebody had robbed the cashiers, and then apparently they ran down the fire exit stairs that were right near where that cashier window was, towards like where the dealers took their breaks and stuff, but it also opened out onto the street. Oh, my nose has been so freaking itchy today. My nose is gonna be so sore by tomorrow from me trying to rub the itchies away. Oh my goodness. Welcome to allergy season, hardcore. I have this feeling when we venture out later this week, we're gonna see all kinds of hay bales drying in the fields. Cause like they come through and they cut the hay fields down to flat. And then they have another machine that comes through to bale them. And most of the fields around here do these ginormous circular bales. And then they just kind of sit in the fields for like a week or 2 weeks, I guess, drying out before they have tractor trailers show up or pickup trucks with special flatbeds on them, pick them up. Because I think you have to have a license to haul hay down here. Because I think it counts as not a fully wide load, but there's something about it where I think I saw you have to have a license to haul hay. I guess because of how heavy and awkward they are. Because these bales are huge. They're like the, like if you're staring at a car, like you're staring at like the trunk of a vehicle, like these hay bales, like a standard sedan, would fit around like a vehicle, fairly certain. Not like an SUV or anything, just like a normal regular sized car. Alright, so let me pop that up. Kind of feels like Velcro when I'm ripping it off. Okay. Trying to re-smooth out the back here. So I know I've been moving a little bit slower on this one, and I do apologize, but things take time. And that they do. Alright. Oh, I just thought of something. Oh yeah, so I'm amazed that one of my most popular tweets ever was the picture I took of my dinner last night and posted it. I'm amazed. I got almost 20 likes on a photo of pizza. I'm like, really? People like their pizza. Like, it wasn't anything too special. I mean, it's just, we make the crust from a recipe that we found online. And then the sauce is the same sauce we use for spaghetti that I do from scratch, that we just separate into smaller portions in our freezer to try to make it stretch further. Because, you know, money, so times are tough. Do what you gotta do. And pizza's fairly inexpensive when we do it that way. Like, our most expensive item doing it that way is probably the cheese, but we also freeze the cheese into like, we'll buy like a big bag from Sam's of mozzarella, and sometimes we'll get some cheddar too, but cheddar's a luxury right now, so we don't always have cheddar. And we've been getting Parmesan from Sam's lately too. That's been working out pretty good. We might need to get another bag of that this month, or we might just have to get a small container of other stuff. Depends on what bills look like. We'll know more on Tuesday when the husband finds out whatever they're going to do with his mouth. Although putting him under is going to be a problem if he's not allowed to drive afterwards, because he's driving himself there, and
They probably won't put me under, huh?
I was going to say, that's going to be a problem. For that price, though, I don't see them doing that. But I guess it'll depend on what they say is going on once they get an x-ray done. So right now we don't know. We don't even know if they're really going to be doing anything. They might have to schedule him to do something more involved a different day, and maybe they give him some better painkillers until then. I don't know. But yeah, last night it was so bad for him. I was like, well, when my dad has a bad toothache, he has like whiskey or something that he puts on it. I was like, maybe it's worth a try at this point since nothing else is working. So at least see if he has any. And we don't really drink, so we don't have any alcohol. I think his mom might have something rosé or something in the fridge, but I think it's a wine cooler.
Yeah,
it's the alcohol in it is very low. It's whatever it was. I thought she had a tiny jar of moonshine, but I don't know where it is. We might have thrown it out, actually. I don't know. I think we were debating when we were cleaning the fridge or the pantry or something. I'm like, why the fuck is this in here? I was like, she's not gonna drink this. And then I was like, we should just throw it out because she hoards stuff. So we have to go through and check dates on things in the cabinets and stuff. I mean, sometimes some of our stuff gets lost in the shuffle. But, like, we had to go through our entire spice cabinet and stuff, because there was stuff in there that was pretty dusty and ancient that she had bought and never used. So, I think we found it then, and I was like, well, let's just get rid of it. Nobody's gonna drink this. She probably doesn't even remember it's here. But then I thought Russell said, no, it's just like a little stupid thing. She can have that. And I don't remember where it went. I don't know if it went back in the cabinet, in the back of it, or what. So I don't know. Alright. We've made some pretty decent progress today. I think we're gonna have to make some, well, no, maybe we don't need more of that. We might. I might have to do some more blue fluff. So I might actually end up getting that fluff making demo done sooner than later. Won't happen today, though. I've got other things I need to do when we're done here. I have a rug I've got to shampoo. Hopefully my back's up to doing it. We'll see. I have to vacuum first. We'll see how the vacuuming goes. Because the rug's kind of gross. I actually should have done it a couple of weeks ago, but my back was too fucked up to barely walk across the room, let alone push a rug shampooer back and forth. It's not that it's that heavy, but when your back's messed up, everything's heavy, you know? Like a piece of paper can be heavy, depending on how bad that you've clenched everything up. So I might have to lift water this week. I don't know how that's gonna go. I mean, I can probably get it on the cart, since the carts are flatbeds and I have room for error at Sam's. I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it in the car. But I guess it depends on what they do to him on Tuesday and what recovery time looks like. But I think we still have some soft stuff that he can eat in the house from when he had his appendix out. Like, we still have Jell-O, and we have, I think we still have applesauce.
We've got a little Jell-O, we've got a little pudding, it'll do. Like I said, in the past, for things like extraction, I've recovered, like, at least functionality within 2 days. Like, being able to eat normal food and everything.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Compared to some other people that have stuff done where they, like, can't eat anything for, like, a week. 2 weeks. But then again, I think those people might have had, like, complication with, like, dry socket and stuff. That's what scares me about getting teeth taken out. I'm like, because I would be the one that would happen to. Nothing ever goes smoothly. All right. But we'll see if he's up to finishing his build in our duo zoo this week. If he's not, then we'll go back to our solo zoo for Planet Zoo on Friday. If we end up back in the solo zoo, we'll have to spin the wheel again because we actually finished what we were working on last week. I'm actually happy with how that area came out. It came out better than I was expecting it to, considering I'm not the greatest Planet Zoo builder. I'm a bit of a noob builder. Certainly not as advanced as some of the others I've seen that like live, eat, and breathe Planet Zoo. But you know, we'll see what happens. Though if we get shopping again, we'll probably respin since we just did that shopping area. And I really don't have a reason to do another shopping area right away. Alright, I'm just gonna re-smooth this out because I was getting a little, I could feel it getting a little bunchy as we're getting down towards the bottom here. Okay. So we'll get this tucked into here. So this week's stream schedule is gonna be Warcraft on Wednesday. So I had to sit the Demon Hunter this week because I mismathed how close, or the number of levels between the Demon Hunter and the Death Knight. So if we did the Demon Hunter this week, I would have 3 for 1 leveling period in Bastion, and that's not happening. My sanity can't do that, and I don't have time to level up 3 through Bastion right now. I don't. So, so we're sitting the Demon Hunter this week. The Warrior got brought back out. So we will see the Warrior this week, because we only have the 5 classes remaining to get through on the Bloodthirsty challenge. So we're gonna do the Warrior and the Shaman, and I'm trying to get through the Druid to get them ready, and I still need to get the Death Knight ready, which is a pretty tall order considering they're both in Bastion at the moment. I think that Death Knight, excuse me, I think the Death Knight will be able to take on the level 60 mobs without too much trouble this week, so that might help speed up things a little bit. Because I tried doing them last week on her, and the fights were just so long, it didn't feel like I was gaining anything by going after the mobs with more XP at that point, just because the fights were taking me almost 2 full minutes to get through, and at that point I'm like, I could have killed, you know, X number of the smaller mobs in the time that it was taking me to do the fight on this one. So time management wise, I just started working on the other one. Now last night, when I went in to work on the Druid, I got pissed off. And I decided to go to bed because I was tired to begin with. But there's been a leather farmer that's been hanging out in the middle of where I've been working on my Bloodthirsties. And I can't get a damn kill in edgewise. They're level 60. They're killing level 53 mobs, so they're green, so they're flying through killing them. And they're like, every time I go out there to work on somebody, they're there. They weren't there when I started last night. All the mobs were up. I was like, cool. So I started to work through the leveling loop. Got about halfway through and stopped to find something to listen to try to keep my brain engaged and awake so I didn't get too transified. And settled back in to start grinding again. Got about 2/3 of the way through this loop and realized, hey, where's that mob? Thought it was a one-off, maybe somebody else killed it. Okay, moved on down. The next 2 were there. I was like, alright, fine. Get to the start of my loop and the first mob's missing, and I'm like, what? Alright. Not a huge deal. And I turned around to go to the next one in the loop. That one's gone. And then the 3rd and 4th ones are gone. And I'm like, oh, are you effing kidding me? This person's back. Like, I was so mad. And I was so tired. And I was like, well, fuck it. Let me go across the bridge. I'll kill some of the lower XP moths. And I'll just hang out over here. And then I'll loop back around once I finish this side. And, you know, I'll probably hit it where these guys are up. And, you know, maybe I'll get my timing right against this other person now. So I resigned myself to that was how it was going to be. And when I came back across the bridge, they still hadn't come back up, or they had come back up and been killed again. I don't know which, but I was like, are you kidding me? I was so mad. And then I was really tired, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to bed. I know I need to get more work done, but the husband was in here trying to sleep, and he didn't want to turn the light off, and I felt bad because he was awake, or he was trying to sleep, and I was like, well, maybe I should go do dishes, and I was just too tired to even do dishes. I was like, fuck it. I was just like, fuck everything, I'm going to bed. So I have about half a level to get through on the druid, and then quite a ways to go because I haven't even looked at the Death Knight for this week, so we'll see how far I get for this week. We might just be working a little bit on the DK if I don't get her into leveling range. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I still have a couple of days and the weather looks like it might cooperate. And I don't normally have to fight that many people on the level 60 mob loop as I do on the level 53 mob loop. So, you know, fingers crossed that works out. And then Thursday we'll be working on Parkitect some more. We're in the middle, I think, of one of the last 3 campaigns that we have left. So we'll see how that one goes. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get away without putting another coaster in. I might have to. But we're going to have to accumulate some money for that to happen. So we'll see. I might have to drop the entrance fee down to free just to try to get some more people in there. I mean, it started out as $1. You would think that that would be enough to attract people, but I guess because they have to pay for the rides too. Now, if we had made the rides free, we would probably have to jack up the entrance fee, but I don't know, we'll see. Putting it on free on the other one did help get the numbers in, so we'll see. And then, you know, Friday will be Planet Zoo. No stream on Saturday again. I know we did a couple of Saturday streams during December. That was an extraordinary circumstance because the podcast was in winter break hiatus, so I didn't have to worry about getting shit done by a specific time on Saturdays. But there is a show this week for the podcast. I am actually on this week, so yeah, definitely no stream this Saturday because I'm gonna be busy with things and stuff, because there's gonna be pre-show prep and then after show prep and dinner, and I probably won't have time to really do much of anything for my own self until like 11 o'clock that night, just because of how long it takes me to get through stuff and different interruptions and getting dinner done and sorted and all that. So podcast days are busy days for me, whether I'm on it or not. When I'm not on, I can usually get a few things done in the afternoon, or at least get a little bit of leveling in the afternoon, depending on what time I wake up. But not always. Like this week, I really should have been working on leveling someone, but I was working on challenger write-ups that needed to get done, because we're still not quite caught up from the trackers being brought back up to functioning order. Are you in here?
Yeah, so.
Did Harley change his Discord name again?
Let me check.
Because I saw somebody on my Discord list, and I'm like, who the fuck is this?
Not that I'm seeing.
Okay, so that's gotta be somebody else. Because it looked like they were playing a game that Harley was playing, so... Alright. I don't know who that person is then. It was not a name that I was familiar with, unless it has been someone that had asked a mod question for WoW challenges, I suppose. But it threw me for a loop when I saw the name, and I'm like, who the fuck is that? When I woke up, because it showed, you know, friends list activity, or at least contact list activity, and I'm like, I don't know who you are. I don't know why I had contact with you. The contact had to have been some time ago, and wasn't continued, so I don't know who you are. It's a very bizarre name. And I know our one friend will periodically change his Discord name depending on what he's doing, since he's part of the Husband's D&D group, so sometimes he makes his Discord name his character name. Sometimes. I used to do D&D with the Husband's group a little bit, but my anxiety got the better of me and started getting anxiety migraines, or anxiety triggered migraines, and I'm like, this ain't worth it, because I was so anxious about fucking something up or not understanding the spells and stuff, because as it was, I had my own naming system for the dice, because you know, my sad little brain doesn't function quite the way that everybody else's does. I don't know if it's the dyslexia, I don't know if it's something else, but, you know, calling stuff like D20 or the percentile or, you know, all of that, just, it didn't work for me. It didn't, like, how to word this? I needed to name it what it looked like. So, like, the D20s looked like soccer balls to me, so I started referring to them as, oh, you mean the soccer ball? Or if I'd get stumped when the husband's like, okay, you have to roll this. And I'm like, well, what's that? And he would, like, grab the die in front of me. He goes, this one. And I'm like, oh, so this. So I had already decided what these dice were called. Totally not their correct names. But, so soccer balls were D20s. You know what? I actually think I still have my dice. Hold on a second. Oh, there's an avalanche of shit is about to happen. Oh, here. Oh, that's a dusty boy. Alright, so, I made a box to keep my dice in. It's kind of dusty, sorry. I haven't used it lately. So, I had Crackle Medium, so we kind of put that on there so it would kind of make it look a little bit older and beat up. It's just a little stupid, there we go, wooden box that I got from, like, Joann's or Walmart or something. Oh, that was my flamingo puzzle. I still need to put this back together with glue. It fell apart. So, let's see here. Where? Oh, okay. So, this was a D20. Right? So, this was a soccer ball. And I know it doesn't really look like a soccer ball, but it reminded me of a soccer ball. This was just like, this was just like the normal square die. Let me see here. This was the pyramid. The little triangle-y guy. What is this? Is this a D4? This might be a D4. I see the 4 is the highest number I see on here, so that might be a D4. I called it the pyramid. Then there were... Do I not have this one in purple? Oh, I do. Okay. So then this one was the diamond. What the fuck is this? The D8? I think that's the highest number on there. So D8 was the pyramid. What was this one? This doesn't say 20 on it. I don't know what I called this one. This D12? I don't think we ever used a D12. I don't think I named this one. I'm not recalling a name on that one. So that was the pyramid. That was the pyramid. This was the diamond. And then the percentile. Right? This is the D10? No. Who was this? Was this another D8? I think this was the percentages one. D9. This was the squishy diamond. I don't remember what I called this one. I'll have to ask the husband if he knows what I called it. I might not have named it, because we never used it. We were never a high enough level to use it, so... Maybe this was the percentile. I don't know. No, this was the D12. This one might have been the baby soccer ball. I don't remember. I'll have to ask him. He might know. Because I had this whole elaborate naming system that I made him use so that I could understand what the fuck he was talking about. Oh, right, I need that. I can't lose that. I can't lose the thingy for how to put my puzzle back together. It was a cute puzzle. It was kind of like Legos, but not exactly. Like little plastic puzzle pieces that made like a 3D puzzled flamingo. Hey, there you are. Did I have a name for the D12?
I don't think so.
Like, we never used it, right?
No, not really. It very rarely gets used in the game anyhow, so...
Like, the only thing I could have think that I could have called it would have been a mini soccer ball. But, like, I don't think I actually named that one, because we had the soccer ball, the diamond, just, like, the regular square, and we had the diamond and the squishy diamond. I think those were the main ones that we used. And I think squishy diamond was percentile one. Or the one that we used for percentiles. We didn't use it that often. Alright. Because, like, he would say, okay, roll this. And I'm like, I'm sitting there looking at him. I'm like, uh-huh. And he's like, you know this one? And I'm like, uh-huh. I'm like, which one of those is this? Such a noob with D&D. And it was so much for my brain to remember, and it was so math heavy that at times, I know a lot of people are like, D&D is not that math heavy. For me, it was math heavy. Because the way I liked to flip numbers around and stuff and processes, it was a lot. So anxiety just ended up getting to be too much to deal with it. It was more of an anxiety driven event instead of like a fun event. It would have started to become a relief when we didn't play, so I'm like, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't play anymore. Because obviously my brain is overloading and not happy about this, so. He's tried to talk me into playing again a couple of times, but He's like, we could really use another player, and I'm like, good luck with that. I'm like, yeah, no, sorry. You're gonna have to investigate your Discord or whatever it is you find people on, cause no. And it's amazing how many people applied when they were looking for group members again, because somebody couldn't play anymore or something. The husband and the friend would put in a they hide something or nonchalantly mention something in their advertisement. And whatever it is, they'll say, make sure to mention this in your application or something to that effect. Or you need to mention this item, whatever it may be. So that way we know that you actually read through the premise of what this game is going to entail.
It's basically a green M&M rule. If you Google that, that'll explain it really well.
And the amount of people that applied that never mentioned the thing was just absolutely just mind-numbing. And since it's a Discord and, you know, you get people from all over the world in the Discord, they put in the time. I think they did it to... They converted the time from our central time zone in the US to what it would be. What was the time zone that you guys used? Was it Universal Time?
Yeah, I used the Universal Time.
So that way that those in Europe would have an easier time of figuring out.
Yeah, so basically everyone could look up what time it was for them. It's real easy, all I gotta do is Google it.
And this one dude that they ended up bringing into the group, he's like, oh yeah, you know, he's like, I'm up late at night because it was like 11 o'clock at night for them or something. And they're like, no, I can totally do that. That's fine. And, you know, husband and the friend, because they're dual DMing, they're taking turns handing it back and forth. They're like, you're sure? Because it's kind of late at night for you. And they're like, I don't want, you know, there to be any conflicts or anything, or, you know, if it's going to interfere with your sleep and all. They're like, no, it'll be fine. It's not going to be an issue. They're like, okay. The very first session, the dude didn't show. And so the husband and co-DM tried to kind of fluff it off as well, you know, first day stuff. Or he was in Discord, but then he was marked as do not disturb, and they couldn't ping him to get him to notice that it was like game time or something. And then come to find out he had fallen asleep. He goes, oh, well, I didn't get the chance to get my nap in and I was really tired. And they're like, napping? He goes, yeah, I usually take a nap at this time of the night and then I'm like good for the rest of the night for a few hours. And that right there was like, he's not going to be awake for this. And swore up and down that the next week it was going to be fine. He showed up, I think, to the next game and was like half asleep or not really paying attention because he was so tired. I don't know if he fell asleep in the middle of the game or was drifting or something. And they finally had to tell him, like, dude, this ain't working. Because, like, we need you to be awake and functioning. Like, it was such a pain in the ass because they kind of liked him. And they thought he would be a fit, but he wasn't being awake for the game, so that's a problem. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this piece of blue tucked in here. So we've actually gotten a fair amount of ground covered today, I think, all things considered. Oh, right. So what time is it? Oh, okay. It's later than I thought it was. Not all that big of a deal. Can you go preheat the oven for me?
Yeah, 425?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Not a huge deal. But I think I definitely need to have dinner before I start trying to shampoo.
Your mom has a TV dinner in the oven.
Oh, okay. No,
I'll let her know to bump it up.
she got started late. She's usually done her dinner by now. I figured when I heard the oven beep, she'd been turning it off, not on. She usually has to eat by like 5:36.
Your mom's gonna bump it up when she's done.
Alright, I'm surprised she's not done yet. She usually is finishing up about now. Well, maybe we will be starting the rug shampooing process.
No, she ain't got that long, huh? It's been there a while.
Has it?
Yeah, I thought she was done, that's why I didn't say anything at first. But that was in there quite some time ago.
I wonder if she forgot that it was in there.
No, she knows. She takes the timer with her now ever since I yelled at her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my mom has something against using a kitchen timer, or she doesn't understand how it works, but husband and I have to have one because we will totally forget what time we put something in. 100%. Okay, so let me see here. Who is doing things and stuff? There weren't really that many people streaming earlier. Still not that many people. I'm going around. Okay, so alright, let's go and visit one of the team members, Mumuchi? I don't know how they're pronouncing it. And we will go and visit them. So don't forget, next stream will be on Wednesday. And I thank everybody for hanging out with me this this afternoon and dealing with my sniffly ass. And I will see you all on Wednesday. Have a good week.